What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic podcast on Merry Christmas, first of all, first and foremost. Um, yeah, 49ers don't have the greatest game today. They lose, they go down to the Ravens 33-19. A lot to get into, a lot to unpack. But before we get to any of it, hopefully everybody out there had a great Christmas and enjoyed their family, enjoyed the like all the things that go along with Christmas. But I know everybody's a little emotional right now after this defeat, and but we're gonna get into it. But before that, we got to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I like to know.
are you ready for start time?
And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic podcast. And yeah, it's Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody, to all you and yours and all that good stuff. So, 49ers go down to the Ravens 33-19. And all the talk was there was a bunch of different conversations throughout this week about. Some people said the 49ers don't need this game. Some people said this is going to be a Super Bowl preview. Some people said that this was an opportunity for the 49ers to show that, put an exclamation point on their season and show that they can beat anybody and keep defeating winning teams. Well, the 49ers laid a big fat egg today, and for multiple reasons but when I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game, and the game just started off terrible. The offense, this isn't the first game the offense has come out slow and not hasn't come out really with the type of energy and the type of execution, the type of when you come out against a good team like the Ravens, you have to come out on your P's and Q's. They're a very physical football team. But I said in my video earlier this week that the Rams kind of put out, when they played the Rams kind of gave you almost not so much a blueprint, but at least something to go off of, and that the running game would be key. And Shanahan just didn't seem to follow, just didn't seem to think that he needed to do that. They didn't run the ball once in the first drive. Again, this isn't the first game this has happened. I want to bring that up right away. This is not the first game that this has happened. And Shanny just, in the name of balance, and he's talked about balance this whole season, but really his form of balance is basically just kind of giving the running game a kind of a backseat at times in the game and becoming one-dimensional. And I think he has so much confidence in Brock that it's almost a detriment sometime, because you're going up against a physical team like the Ravens, who honestly want you to throw the ball. They want you to throw the ball because that's going to give them an opportunity to rush the passer. That's going to give them an opportunity to give you all those different type of blitz looks that they like to do. And it just gives you an opportunity to get takeaways. And that's exactly what the 49ers gave them. The first interception was by Purdy was terrible. That was terrible. That was just bad. all the way around. Then the second one was, I mean, it was a called play, and Purdy had to get the ball out to the flat, and I mean, it was just unlucky. The guy jumped right when Purdy was throwing it. I mean, it was a good play by them. And then the third one hits his guy in the chest, hits the guy that bounces off his guy's chest and flies in the air, and another one gets intercepted. Once again, bad luck. It's just that's the way it goes. And then the fourth one, Purdy gets hit as he's throwing, and he ends up going right to the other team. Bad luck. Now, that's 4 times. That was 4 times where the 49ers gave the Ravens tremendous field position. And when you give an 11-3 team field position that way, it's not going to end well. Oh, and before we go any further, make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And also, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. I don't care where you get it. Just get it. But, and I want to say what's up to my guy, David McNiner. Appreciate you coming through, fam. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with me. And that was a reality check. Absolutely. Now our 49ers will light the fires. Now, there was a couple of things going into this game that gave people some pause. Eric Armstead wasn't going to play. And we did have Javon Hargrave, who had a sack. I don't put any stock in that, honestly. It wasn't the Ravens running game that killed us. In this, the defense, it was not the best defense. And it was almost like the coverages on the defense, it was almost like Wilkes was just guessing. And every now and then he would just blitz, especially towards the end of the game. Towards the end of the game, he was just trying to make something happen and just blitz the quarterback, and hopefully he gets something out of it. But then Lamar ate him up on that one. And this is the thing: Lamar Jackson is a really good quarterback. I don't think I've ever said that he's not, but I think some people, because I said that you've got to keep him in the pocket and make him throw from the pocket, that means he's not a good quarterback. That's not what I said. That's absolutely not what I said. However, I don't think Lamar Jackson was the reason why we lost this game. And a lot of people will be like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Lamar had 23 of 35, 252, 2 touchdowns. And he had 7 carries for 45 yards. So how could he not be the reason? Well, honestly, I put this game on. It was over from the very beginning. The 49ers were not executing on offense. Turnovers. You can't give an 11-3 team turnovers. They had the one safety by Lamar, but I mean, the 49ers defense didn't really do much of anything as far as getting bounces to go their way. Trent Williams almost had a fumble recovery. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think the 49ers defense did really much of anything. And but the reality is this: when your offense is giving the other team the ball on the other side of on your own 50, past your own 50, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Things are not going to work out well for you. And when you're not getting any execution, you're getting penalties. You're getting when you have any kind of momentum, it's taken back by penalties, or you throw a pick, or you just can't really get anything going on offense. Not because necessarily, honestly, it's really weird. It's really weird to say. But when the 49ers, and I tweeted this out, when the 49ers offense looks great, when it's clicking and they've got balance, like Channing likes to say, it's and running on all cylinders, it looks fantastic. It looks incredible. It looks beautiful. When it doesn't, when their execution isn't on point, it looks bad is not the word. They look like a peewee team out there. They just look I mean, they look so bad and they make defenses look better than what they actually are. Now, with that being said, I think that when they decided to run the ball, they were having success. Why Shanny goes away from that? Like when they weren't, it was a 4-point game and we came out throwing. I don't get it. I don't get it. And Shanny has this faith in Brock that I've said from the beginning. Brock Purdy, he like it before this game, he deserved to be in the MVP conversation because of the numbers. It's because of the numbers. You don't put up numbers like that and you're not in the MVP conversation. Now, it's funny to me that people choose to make the MVP about who's the actual MVP, like who's the actual most valuable player when a guy like Brock is about to get it. But when other guys are in the conversation, well, they're numbers. They go straight off the numbers. It cracks me up every time. But with that being said, before when Brock, oh yeah, David, I saw this as well. David says played a lot of soft zone. I'd rather see our cornerbacks play, man. They were playing so far off of the wide receivers. It was almost like Wilkes did not trust the corners at all. And it was really about he was going to make Lamar make throws from the pocket, but then the defensive line wasn't really playing with the same contained what's the word for it, the same contained discipline that they had played previously, and they allowed him to get out of the pocket more often than not, and he was able to make throws on the run. There just wasn't a sense of urgency on the defense. There wasn't any physical nature whatsoever. It looked like from the defense or the whole team for that matter. There was no physical anything going on. The Ravens showed up to hit the 49ers in the mouth, and the 49ers just it looked like they just came to take it on the chin and see I guess if the Ravens were really about it, but the Ravens came out there and hit him in the mouth. That's the way it goes. But yeah, it was just a terrible outing by the offense. And I don't think it was Lamar that beat the 49ers. I mean, he was the one that scored the points. I mean, he was responsible for what, 2 touchdowns? And yeah, but I just don't think that it wasn't him. It was to me, I'm watching this game and Shanny's play calling he just didn't want to go away from his game script. I think it was about the game plan from the beginning on offense, and they just kept giving him short fields. And you can't give a good team short fields all the time. So I guess you want to give Lamar credit for taking advantage of just opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. I guess I'd like to see this team again. I wouldn't mind playing this team again in the Super Bowl. I think the 49ers can absolutely beat this team. I just think it was not their day. It was not their day. They had a lot of balls not bounce their way, and that's the way it goes sometimes. Every team, every year, Super Bowl teams get their butts handed to them at least once, twice a year. Happens to every single team. So does this mean that the 49ers aren't worthy of being in the Super Bowl and that Purdy isn't this, that, or the third? Absolutely not. But the 49ers have to learn, and Shanny has to learn from this loss. And that's really what it comes down to. Does Shanny learn from this loss? Does he learn that you have to pivot when you see the game script isn't necessarily working out? and that they're playing you a certain way, you've got to pivot. You've got to pivot. Even if you're more comfortable, you feel like you're comfortable with Brock and like you have all the confidence in the world that he can make these throws and this, that, and the third. You've got to play. You've got to play you've got to match physicality when they meet you with physicality. It's still football at the end of the day. Football is football, and when a team is trying to hit you in the mouth, you cannot sit there and meet them with finesse. You've got to hit them right back. And I don't feel like Shanny really did that in this game. I think that he was going finesse all the way. And I think that what's his name? Zaref. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Like he says, the Ravens came out with something to prove. We played like we were already the best. Fred giggling down 21 after jumping. Good ego check for this team. I agree. I just talked about it earlier when I came in that this one of the narratives this week was the 49ers didn't need this game. And I said on my show earlier this week that I really wanted this game. When we talked with Beto and I really wanted this game. I'm being selfish. They didn't need this game, but I wanted it because I felt like this would be a good test for the 49ers, and I don't feel like they came out with that in mind. I don't think they came into this thinking that they needed to be tested. I think that they just came out kind of so. They were missing a few guys. So some people are gonna blame it on that. It wasn't that. It wasn't the guys they were missing. They just didn't execute. They just didn't execute. And you're gonna be missing guys at this time of year. It is what it is. Jawan, you're missing your third wide receiver or fourth wide receiver, however you want to look at Jawan Jennings. And that is not the reason why you lost. Trent went out the game at I guess it was the end of the third quarter. That's not the reason why you lost. The game was already over at that point. Aaron Banks goes down. That the game was over. And now people are going to talk about how they're going to try to say Purdy was benched. That's going to be the news story all week long. We're going to hear how Purdy was benched when he goes down one play. After being tackled, and then Shanny just decides, hey, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to take you out because I just don't want to see you get hurt on off of a game that's already out of hand. It's already a meaningless game. We don't have to have this game, and that's why I go back to that point. I don't believe Shanny thought that he had to have this game. I think that he was trying some stuff out. It didn't look characteristic of the 49ers. And I'm not going to pretend like I know what's going on in Shanny's head. He was very upset with some calls and like some different things, but it didn't feel right. And from the very beginning. And people are going to take that as, well, you just think too much of Purdy and Purdy's not really an MVP and like all these different things, these different narratives that people want to come up with. And that, Lamar was just too good. That's not what happened. That's not what happened today. And we can get upset, but that's not what happened. And as the ref says, I feel like the fans wanted more than players. I don't know if that's true. I think that the players always want to win. I think if things would have gone the way the 49ers wanted them to go and they make some of those plays, I think that they would have been the first one to be hooting and hollering just like the Ravens were. But it just didn't go their way. Do I think Shanny calls this game the same way a second time? Probably not. But at the same time, this is every so often Shanny has a game like this where the team just doesn't execute. And I feel like that's what happened. The defense was definitely I feel bad for the defense because we can sit there and say the defense played poorly, right? They gave up 33 points, but they were put in terrible positions over and over and over again. They were on the field. Let's look at the time of possession. Time of possession. I mean, the Ravens only had it for what, 3 more minutes? Or like really two and a half. So it wasn't like they killed us on time of possession, but it felt like it because the 49ers only had 18 rushing attempts for the game. Now, granted, they were 6.7 yards a rush. And people are going to say, "Oh, well, they couldn't run because they was." And the same thing happened when they had their game loss, losing streak, whatever you want to look at it. The same thing happened. People said, "Oh, well, they got taken out of the running game because of they had all the excuses, the bear looks, and they got taken out of because they got down." And no, this was a 4-point lead going into the half. This was a one possession game. Midway through the third quarter, there's no excuse for only having run the ball 18 times. There's no excuse. The 49ers were only in the red zone twice. They also had 10 penalties for 102 yards. That's not going to get it done. It's just not going to get it done. And they had 5 turnovers to none for the Ravens. You're going to lose. Your offense cannot give up 5 turnovers, and you're going to win a football game. So all the people that's sitting there saying, "Oh, Lamar did this and Lamar," no. No. I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you do that. This was a loss by the 49er offense all the way around. Now, the defense didn't do its part at times either. They held them to field goals a couple of times, but they had their own issues. But at the same time, this 49er offense was terrible today. They were a detractor today. Not even that they weren't going to win the game for them. They were the reason why the Ravens looked so good. And yeah, that can't happen. That can't happen. So Dre came in. Lamar Jackson is superior in his MVP. Okay. Okay. We'll see when we get into the playoffs. But I hope we see this team again. Good for Lamar. Good for Lamar. I just think that he got to work with. He had the easiest job out of the 2 quarterbacks today. He wasn't. I'm not going to make excuses for Purdy at all. Purdy had some bad bounces go his way, but he made one egregious pick. But Lamar made his mistakes too. He missed some wide open guys. He had the safety. The difference is his mistakes weren't backbreakers. Didn't put his defense in terrible positions. So there's a difference. But Dre said 254 passing yards, 2 TDs, and 50 yards rushing, and is a game changer. Yeah, okay. I mean, you could go ahead and do that if you want. It doesn't bother me. We could say all about how Lamar is just the superior, this, that, and the third. He's absolutely a superior athlete. He's absolutely a superior athlete. And he's asked to do more than Purdy is. I will say that, just because, I mean, let's just be real. The Ravens offense is let Lamar run around until the scramble drill gets somebody open. Now, sometimes I will say this, and when they get to the playoffs, some of those are going to get called as holding. Some of those scramble drills they're going to get called. And there's going to be some times when they don't get the calls. And I'm not blaming this on holds on the refs or anything. 49ers lost this game fair and square. Their offense just was not up to the task today. But it was not because of Lamar. I'm not going to let you do that. Anyway, David says Trent Williams left with a groin injury. Purdy had a stinger, and Shanahan pulled both. Yeah. I think that Trent probably pulled it a little bit, felt a little uncomfortable. The game was out of hand. And once again, I just don't feel like the 49ers really felt like they had to have this game. And when people started going down, I just think that Shanahan mailed it in. And we're going to put this out there, even though I don't want to put it out there. Black QB has a higher IQ and processes the game better than the good white QB. I mean, enjoy your victory, bro. I don't know what it has to do with the color of his skin, but you do your thing. But like I said, Lamar got his win today. And he absolutely did not, he got the looks that he needed to get today. I'll say that. Because it was this game was really just came down to the 49ers just didn't come to play. But it is what it is. 49ers lost it fair and square. And David McNiner says, I'm concerned about Aaron Banks. Not sure if he just suffered an ankle sprain. I'm kind of concerned about the Aaron Banks one. Because it seemed like all of our offensive linemen were going down. And we already had injuries. Burford was already out. I have a feeling that means we're going to go back to the Burford-Feliciano tandem of guards. And Burford's not terrible. Let's not make it like Burford's terrible. Feliciano is just better than he is. But right now. But it just, you want your best guys out there. And I don't want to see Aaron Banks out. I don't want to see Aaron Banks not making it to the playoffs. So you do whatever you got to do. Rest him up. I don't care if he doesn't play for the rest of the regular season. I just don't want. I want us to be at least somewhere near full strength. And this was the thing that I said from the beginning of the season. The only thing that's going to beat this team is injuries. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, every team goes through injuries. Well, this 49er team is predicated on team. They win as a team. If they're missing pieces, it's a little more harsh on them. And people are going to say it's because of the quarterback. It's not because of the quarterback. It's because this team, this offense plays as one. If one of their guys isn't there to block and they have a lesser than there, it's not going to go as well. Those plays aren't going to go as well. Shanny's going to call them anyway, because that's what Shanny does. He calls the play anyway. And whether it looks good, bad, whatever, he's going to blame it on the execution and that we just didn't execute. But he's going to call it regardless. He's going to call the same plays. So, and I'm not blaming Shanahan. What I'm saying is that this team has to win as a team. And if they have injury, they're missing key guys down the stretch, especially this offensive line. This offensive line has not played bad really all season. It's, for the most part, they played pretty well. They didn't have the greatest of games today, but it wasn't terrible either. So, yeah, I'm kind of afraid of that injury as well, David. And let's see. David says, got to run the ball 35, 40 times against this team, and Kittle was destroying them. Yeah, Kittle was destroying them. Ayuk was destroying them. But CMC, when he got a chance to run the ball, it was not a problem. Like they were. I mean, they were averaging 6.7 yards a carry. Like, now, granted, there was a big long run by CMC. I think. What? Oh, I have to go back. What? Christian McCaffrey had a 39-yarder. So he had one long run, which adjusted his average. But he averaged 7.4 a carry, 14 carries for 103 yards. They just didn't run the ball. They could have been running like that from the beginning of the game. Shanahan just didn't do it. I don't. I can't. I don't understand why. Running the ball is probably the least. Um, it has the least risk, and they just don't do it. You've got running backs on this roster, and you just don't use them. And and people are going to say, "Oh, what are you talking about? He ran the ball 14 times." They ran the ball a total of 18 times. In all their losses, they only averaged 17 carries. That's not balance. Now, people are going to say, "Oh, well, that's not balanced because Purdy threw the ball 32 times, and then Sam Darnold threw the ball 14 times." Now, people are going to say that's because they were behind, but they were already on that trajectory before they got down big. So, no, they were just one-dimensional. This was one of those one-dimensional games, and Shannon got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And that's the way it goes sometimes. And I'm sure we're going to see some tape later on that shows that it's really not that way. But he said Sam is talking to the media. You knew Sam Darnold was going to throw at least one pick. And I don't blame Sam Darnold for him throwing a pick. He's getting 0 reps in practice. He's going to get 0 reps in practice. He's got to come in cold and has no rapport with the wide receivers. And you saw that he didn't have the right communication with Ayuk on they just weren't on the same page. But yeah, it's Sam Darnold. But he didn't look bad for coming in there cold. And then, but eventually it was going to get, when it got down to the red zone, it was going to be what it was. And David McNiner says the same thing. CMC had 14 rushes, 130 yards, and a TD. If we meet again, run the ball. It's not difficult. Balance. And I'm going to talk about this later in the week when I have my my show instead of this instant reaction. But balance, I feel like Shanny hides behind that word. Balance does not mean that you have to have the same amount of passes that you have as runs. That's not what balance is. Balance is that you're winning because of the run and the pass. That's what balance is that you're doing both well. That's all balance means. It doesn't mean that you have to run the same amount of plays for each. And I feel like Shanny has hid behind the word balance to justify him kind of veering more towards throwing the ball with Brock. But when you go up against a physical team like the Ravens, you've got to match that physicality. And sometimes when they're playing close to the line like they were, and they were blowing up some of those screens, you have to take that as a hint and say, look, they're not going to let us have that. Maybe we just need to run the ball and back them off. And and people say run the ball and back them off. Isn't that going to make them go more towards the box? No, it's going to keep them away from the edges. It's going to keep them more away from the edges, and it's going to keep them and it's going to keep them more kind of like looking towards the backfield instead of looking at where Debo and Ayuk are lined up. And then you've got the play action to think about at that point. So yeah, we probably heard the last of the Brock for MVP talk. CMC, I feel is still in the mix. This has got to be one of the most difficult MVP years because there's really no person that stood out. There's really nobody that stood out. I mean, the guy in there talking about Lamar, I mean, you could say just by default, I guess. But I mean, turnover wise, he doesn't have the touchdowns to me. He doesn't have the touchdowns and the turnovers. It's crazy. He has a crazy amount of turnovers. So you're gonna say, oh, he only has 7 interceptions. Yeah, he's also got 6 lost fumbles. That's part of it. That's context. So, and I mean, he's had 11 fumbles overall. So I just don't. I mean, I guess by default, like if they don't have anybody get it, I think either CMC or Tyreek Hill. Like, I mean, that's about it. That's where we're at because the quarterback play has just really not been there this year for the NFL. And I mean, I guess if you want to go by default because he won one of the last big games of the year, okay, go do your thing. But I think that there is 2 more games left in this season, and somebody else is going to become the front runner. But if they wanted to give it to him, I guess they could. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't really care about the MVP. I really care more about the 49ers getting a Super Bowl win. So what comment? I did not mean to skip your I'm thinking that he's talking about this one. Jay is clean said Sam Darnold for MVP. Absolutely not. I mean, Sam Darnold is what we just saw on the that's the reason why he's our backup. So no, he didn't. And he said he stood out. No, he didn't. He stood out as the reason why he's not the starter. So, and I'm gonna probably leave it on that. So 49ers lose this game. People are gonna try and spin it and say it's not a big loss. I think this is a little hit to the ego for the 49ers. And I'm hoping that there's no carryover from this because they're number 1 in the NFC still with this loss. But at the same time, they have to carry some momentum going into the playoffs. If they're going into the playoffs flat, and I'll be honest with you, I need to see some more physicality from this team to think that they're gonna. I need to see that this was just a one-off. Like there's got to be some aggression down the stretch of this season. This needs to be a one-off. The 49ers are going to have to prove in these next 2 games that they are not, that this isn't them. This game is not them. So with that being said, do we have anything else to talk about? Brock, Christian. Oh, the hit by Debo Samuel. I do want to mention the one play by Debo Samuel where the guy hit him in the backfield and gave him a pretty big smack and Debo just took it like a champ and just ran right through him. That was a play. That was a play. Debo made a few plays in this game. And George Kittle had 7 receptions, 126 yards. Brandon Ayuk had 6 catches for 113 yards. Brock's stat line looks so bad. It looks so bad. But yeah, it was just a bad offensive game all the way around. And I don't ever want to see Willie Snead out there again. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see him out there ever again. I don't care who's out there. but I don't want to see Willie Snead out there. And who else? Anybody else that I want to not see out there? Oh, I know it's a feel good story. I know it's a feel good story, and I understand. I don't think it was the best idea to just put Jason Verrett out there. That's Ambry Thomas does not deserve to just be yanked. He did not deserve that, in my opinion. Like this team, and unless you're just working him in, Jason Verrett in to get him some snaps because you really didn't care about this game, and you're just trying stuff out, then that makes sense. But I will say I don't want to see Jason Verrett just get out there to get some reps in. Ambry Thomas has earned that play time and made a great tackle today. Like he gave up some first down, but I mean they were playing such off coverage that it was guaranteed, and it was the same off coverage that I've been complaining about, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like some wide receivers, you're just afraid of going over the top of you, and then other teams you get right in their face, and like every team has a burner. Every team has guys that can do that. I just I don't get it. Like I don't get it. I don't understand why it's so they had to play so far off throughout the whole game, like through most of the game. Like it's just silly to me. But with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Make sure. Oh, John came in. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Appreciate you in these bad times that they are. But we're gonna get out of here, and like everybody, make sure that you have a great Christmas holiday, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. Um, 49ers aren't done. The 49ers are not done. This was a bad beat. But at the same time, the 49ers need to pivot. Shanahan's going to have to adjust the message unless there's something that we don't know. And hopefully this team can find a way to get healthy going into the playoffs. That's going to be key. But make sure that you give this video a like. Make sure that you give me a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And make sure that you tell a friend so we can be friends every day, every week. But I will have my show again at some point this week. I'm working on getting somebody to go on with me. So I'll get back to you guys but for sure, I'll have my show with Beto and that's terrible. With Beto and Brandon on Tuesday. So be on the lookout for that. And then I will have my other show at some point this week. And then I'll be having my show again game day. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, you guys have a great great week now that it's Monday. And hope you guys enjoy your time with your families. But with that being said, as always, go Niners.